Good afternoon, I'm Charlie Frost. The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, has spoken cautiously ahead of Wednesday's pre-election budget, telling ITV News he won't take risks with the public's finances. It's dampened rumours of tax cuts, despite pressure from his Conservative colleagues, as the Tories languish in the polls. Well, our political correspondent Shihab Khan joins me in the studio. Shihab, has the Chancellor given away anything that might be in Wednesday's budget?
Yeah, what we know for sure is there is going to be some talk about efficiency and productivity.
After trying to take her own life, Amy was admitted to a mental health ward. Within weeks of being there, she claims she was raped by another patient. She doesn't blame them, she blames the staff. Her words have been voiced by an actor.
I asked for help. I asked for birth control. It wasn't even particularly questioned. It wasn't kind of taken seriously. No changes were made, and actually I know that those types of incidences happened to other people during my time on the ward. So it was just that picture of chaos and a lack of safety on the ward, and people just at risk of further harm, I guess.
Amy isn't her real name. We're protecting her identity, but her experience is evidence in a public inquiry into how 2,000 patients died in mental health institutes in Essex.
So you were admitted to the ward because you were suicidal, but you were almost able to take your own life there?
Yes, that's right. I mean, I went into the unit as a relatively young person who was going through a tough time because of the pressures of life when you're in your early 20s. I came out far worse.
A mother and her two sons have been found dead inside a house in Belvedere in South London. Charlie Frost is there for us now. Charlie, what more do we know?
Well, it's been extremely sad here this afternoon. This is a relatively quiet street where plenty of families live, and just beside the house is a children's playground, and at the other end of the street close by is Belvedere Junior and Infant School, where both 9-year-old Alexander and 7-year-old Maximus went. Today the school describing them as loving and caring boys who had a real hunger to learn, saying both were model pupils, and it was clear that they were each other's best friend. It was a private ceremony here at St Mary's Church today, but that doesn't mean this new city, his city, wasn't heavily involved. The local Sea Scouts stood so smartly and proudly in a guard of honour as the coffin arrived here at the church, and then they lined the pathway again as the coffin left, to the sound of Dame Vera Lynn's "We'll Meet Again" being sung. But for me, one of the most moving parts of today was outside Sir David's Southend West constituency office in Lee. The coffin was brought there by horse and carriage, and the street was absolutely packed. Floods of applause coming from his constituents as they said goodbye to the man they loved so much. Described as a hero of the House, he had ambitions of becoming the father of the House of Commons, the longest continuously serving Member of Parliament. But that ambition was brutally cut short. Those inside today who worked alongside him every day, honouring his unwavering dedication to public service. They came in their tens of thousands, record-breaking crowds pulled in not just by the tantalising prospect of a derby, but also captivated by the women's game, especially after this summer's magnificent Euros win.
I think it just shows that we actually want to play, like the girls want to play football, they want to play big crowds, and we're growing towards the men's game. Like
the Euros just made everybody obviously get behind the women's team, and it's more exciting than the men's.
I actually came here because my dad and my mum, they bought the tickets for the match on my birthday.
Before the game, more than 50,000 tickets had been sold. Until today, the largest crowd at a Women's Super League match was 38,262, set at the reverse of this fixture in Tottenham in 2019. But the record attendance at a women's domestic game in England was set 100 years before that, 53,000 in 1920. Today's final figure couldn't quite meet that.
And the attendance today, 47,367.
but the numbers were still leagues above the previous WSL record. And inside, they made themselves heard, especially the home side, when England star Beth Mead opened up the scoring in the 4th minute.
Mead takes aim!
This weekend is the final time the Ireland and Wales rugby teams will play each other in their traditional red and green shirts. It's causing some controversy among fans, but it's all to do with colour blindness. The combination of red and green shirts makes it difficult for colourblind people to tell the difference between the teams. For them, it means the players look a little something like this. Now, around 1 in 12 men suffer from colour vision deficiency and 1 in 200 women. So worldwide, that's an estimated 300 million people living with some form of colour blindness. So, from January next year, new regulations from World Rugby will require all Six Nations teams to avoid kit clashes which negatively impact colourblind fans, match officials and players. So when Ireland travel to Cardiff in 2025, they'll wear their alternative white kit. But red and green isn't the only colour combination that's an issue. For example, the Welsh away kit is black, which would still cause a clash with the Irish green kit. So let's take a look at how other colours translate. Now, on the left, what the colours look like to normal-sighted people. On the right, how those same colours look to those who are colourblind. So if we take orange, for example, often worn by referees, it can be difficult to tell apart from red, green and yellow.
The next instalment of the hit period drama Bridgerton is having its premiere in London's Leicester Square tonight. The spin-off focuses on the early life of Queen Charlotte.
It is time we were united as a society. You will make lots of babies. As many babies as possible for my son.
Well, Charlie Frost has been speaking to some of the stars and the people behind it. Charlie.
Oh yes, as you can see, I'm in Leicester Square, but it's been transformed into a gorgeous Georgian ton, a reference you'll understand if you're one of Bridgerton's millions of viewers. But this story is about what happened before Lady Whistledown began to spread scandal around high society London. This story looks at the life of Queen Charlotte. It's the prequel to Bridgerton, and it explores her ascent to the throne and how she came to England from Germany, aged 17, just hours before she married King George III. And this drama explores their marriage, which spanned almost 60 years and involved 15 children. So plenty of drama for writer Shonda Rhimes, who's also behind huge hits like Grey's Anatomy to get her teeth into. And earlier I chatted to her and one of the stars of the show, Golda Roussevel, who has reprised her role as the quick-witted and fiery Queen Charlotte.
Really what we did was, I didn't want to tell a full historical, this is not a documentary. Yeah. I really wanted to take the character created as our Queen Charlotte in Bridgerton and tell her history.
Yeah, and I think it's last year I was filming Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte at the same time.
Yes.
So it was really interesting because in Bridgerton I imagine the children. Mm-hmm. They are just like this figment of my imagination that I created, and then Shonda actually gives me physical children in Queen Charlotte, you know. So it was a real like wonderful kind of up and down and roller coaster year for me of kind of having no children, then having children, and yeah, it was great. It's really good.
Reporter Charlie Frost is there for us now with, wow, a pretty good view. Tell us exactly where you are, Charlie.
Well, you join me reaching new heights above Clacton. I'm taking in these gorgeous North Sea views, and I'm on one of 2 Ferris wheels specially installed to mark Clacton's 150th birthday. It's hard to imagine Clacton's iconic coastline without the pier. But in the 1870s, these beaches were seen as the perfect business opportunity. A state-of-the-art seaside resort was created, and millions of us have been making memories here ever since. And who was Captain Tom Moore?
He's very old.
Do you know what he did for charity, or?
He done so much laps so he could get money.
He was the man who, despite his age, told us in our darkest times that tomorrow would be a good day.
His optimism and determination raising more than £30 million for NHS charities and also inspiring us to do our bit. Are you ready, guys? Big jump. Every splash here at Shotley Primary School raising cash for Diabetes UK. Finally, to the new release of some very old photographs. Candid snapshots have been colorised ahead of the 200th anniversary of the RNLI next month. They include a 1916 picture of Henry Blogg, who over half a century saved a total of 873 lives. The charity says the images show a few highlights of its incredible history. Well, that's all for now. I'm back with the lunchtime news at 1:45. Until then, from all of us, have a lovely morning.